Today I'm gonna show you everything you need to know about Streamlabs alerts, and I'm gonna show you how to set up 3 different types of them. The first one is simply the basic alerts, but changing the GIF, the sound and the colors. The second one is a static alert graphic, and this one you can download from my graphics pack, which you can find in the description. I will talk about this later. And then the third type is animated alerts, and setting up these animated alerts is pretty similar to the static ones. So let's quickly talk about the sponsor of this video in case you want to use one of their graphics to set up your own alerts with this tutorial. The name of the sponsor is owned.tv, and this is basically a big graphics webshop for streamers. Just go to complete packages on the top left, choose one of them, for example this poker series, and then this is the cool thing. When you scroll down you see a preview tool like this. Let me zoom out a bit so it's on the screen, and on the left you can see all the alerts. So for example, new follower, when you click on this you will see how the new follower alert will look on your stream. If you click on scene transition, you will see how the scene transition looks. When you found the pack you like, you can just scroll down and then click add to cart, and then as your coupon code you can just enter TVN, which is my code. Click apply. My code TVN is always 50% off. If you want one of their packs, click the first link in my description, go to their website, choose a pack, code TVN, and you're done. We're gonna use Streamlabs alerts today, so just go to streamlabs.com, and then on the right you can click login. I'm gonna log in with Twitch. You can use YouTube, Facebook, etc. And then on the left you wanna click on alert box, and then here when you scroll a bit to the bottom you will see follows, subscriptions, donations, hosts. This will be specific to the platform you chose. Most of these settings will be very similar for all platforms. It mostly is about changing how it looks, how it appears on the screen, then the font settings, etc. So I'm gonna show you how that works, and then you'll be able to customize everything as you want. Now, one really important thing before we start: if you already changed some of these settings and your alerts are pretty messed up, or if the changes you make here while following this tutorial don't show in OBS Studio when you trigger the alerts, etc., you can reset your alerts by going to manage themes here on the top, and then here you will probably see only default or maybe something else. Doesn't matter. If you click on create widget theme, you can just name it what you want. I'm gonna name it tutorial. Then I'm gonna click create with Streamlabs default settings, and then click on create, and now it will show up here, so I'm gonna click use. This here will be the key to everything you do with Streamlabs. So if we click on the link icon for the tutorial theme we just created, you will see a big list of things. The first thing here is alert box. This is the URL for our alert box. Or here you will see chat box. Streamlabs also has a chat box. You can change how it looks, etc. So everything you change on the Streamlabs website and then import everywhere you want, all that will be saved under your widget theme here. So now that you know that, let's click on alert box again and then start setting this up. I'm gonna go to follows here because there's a bunch of basic setup things that you can do here that will be the same for all types of alerts. First of all, on the top you will always be able to disable your alert, and if you save it on the bottom here, then that alert will never trigger again until you enable it. Now the next thing you see here is layout, and this is very important. The first one will show your alert image or GIF or video, etc. on top of the text as you see here. The second one will show the text on top of the image, and then the other one will show the image and then the text besides that. I will select this one right now because then I can show you how it works later. Now, while setting up these settings, I can imagine that you want to see a preview of everything you're changing so you can see what looks best and if things actually work, etc. You just scroll to the top here to widget URL. This is your unique URL. It's blurred right now for privacy, but next to that you can see launch. When you click on that, you will open a new window, and this will be your alert preview. So I'm gonna drag this to the left of the screen and then open the alert settings on the right. I'll make this a bunch smaller, and now that we have the preview on the left, when we scroll to the top here, we can click on test follow, test subscription, etc. So let's click on test follow, and as you see, now it's the image with the text beneath that, just as we selected here in the layout, and this is the default one. However, when we select the middle one, the text on top of the image, and we click save settings, if we click on test follow again, you will see that now the text appears on top of our GIF or image, etc. And I'll show you how to change the image in a bit. The next thing here is alert animation. This changes how your alert enters and then leaves the screen. So for example, when we change this to zoom in. Let's set it to the first layout again because that's perfect with a GIF. Let's click on save settings. When we click on test follow now, you will see that it's zooming in now, and then it will probably still fade out. A great thing people use this for is changing to slide in down, and then the outro animation people change to slide out up, because then when you save this, then you will see that your alert just slides in. Oops. Actually, I'm glad that this happens. Sometimes it doesn't update immediately, or you have to click save settings again. Sometimes you just need to wait a bit. Let's click on test again. As you see now, it's updated. So if you add this to the top of your screen, then your alert will enter from the top, then it will show a bit, and then as you see, it will slide out again. Now the next thing is extremely important. It's the message template. So right now it's name between parentheses. This will be the name of the person that's following or subscribing or donating, etc. And then the text behind that is just your own text that you choose. So as you see, when I click on test follow here, this is name between parentheses, TV and tutorials. It uses your own name and then the text behind that. So we can change this to just followed. And as you see, TV and tutorials just followed. And I'm going to show you how to change both of these colors in a minute. The next thing is the text animation. By default, it's set to wiggle, and that's this right here, what the text is doing right now. It's kind of wiggling. You can change this, for example, to bounce. When you save the settings then, and then just click on test follow, right now the text is kind of bouncing, and this will apply to the name between parentheses, not the other text. And then next, this is the bread and butter of the alerts, the image and the sound. By default, it's this GIF here, but you can click on this upload button, and then you either select one of the GIFs that they give you. You can just click on one of them and then select here, and then this image that you chose, when we click on save settings, will only apply to the alert that you're editing. Again, it didn't update immediately. Let's click on save settings again, and now when I click test follow, it will have updated. So this is the new one, but when I click on test subscription now, this will be a completely different alert. So you can set up all the alerts separately, and this gives you a bunch of customization options. So right now we've changed a bunch of things about the follow thing, but maybe you don't want to use one of these GIFs and you've downloaded a graphics pack, or you bought one from our sponsor, or you want to use my free graphics pack. I'm going to show you how to get it, and then I'm going to show you how to set up one of the alert graphics in the pack, because that will apply to any graphics pack you download. So this is the graphics pack I'm talking about, the neon overlay pack. It's a staple of this channel. If you go to my Discord, on the left you will see free stuff, and then under that you will see neon overlay pack. Now inside here you will find the most recent version. Right now it's version 9, and this is the Google Drive link. You just click on it, and then on the top right you click on this download button to download the pack, and then you go to your downloads and it will be right there. You just right click it and then click extract here, or maybe you need to look for extract with and then choose the program. If you install WinRAR or 7-zip, you will definitely be able to unpack it, and then it will appear like this as a normal folder. You just open it, and inside there's a bunch of stuff. For example, in the screen, and then intermission screen, you can see without socials, and then this is one of the screens you get with it. There's a bunch of different options, etc. But we are here for the alerts. So here in the main folder you see alerts, and here you have a bunch of alert graphics. There's also a Photoshop file in case you want other alert text, or you want to change the colors, etc. You can open the file with photopia.com. That's a free Photoshop editor. I'm not going over that right now, but you have the option. So this is the alert graphic of the pack. I'm gonna close this now, and we're gonna go back to Streamlabs, because I'm gonna show you how to add your own alerts. And so instead of using one of these GIFs Streamlabs gives you, you can just click on this upload button, and then instead of choosing one of them, you click on uploads on the top here, then you click on the green text, and then you just look for the alert graphic. So in the pack, alerts, we are doing the follow alert, so new follower, click on open, and then it will upload it. You can select it just like the GIF, click on select, and now it will use this graphic, but we will need to customize it a bit. So let's click on save settings, click on test follow, and now it's the graphic, but then the text beneath that. So we need the text to appear on top of the graphic. That will make it look like this, but we also need to remove the white just followed text. So in the message template, you just want to remove everything except for the name between parentheses. I also don't like this text animation. I'm gonna change it to none and then click on save settings to see how it will look right now. Click on test follow. That's better already, but the text is way too big and we're gonna change that later, as well as the color, because this green looks very awful. Now beneath image you see sound, and this is the same as the image. You just click on the upload button, you choose one of their basic sounds here, or you go to the top to upload and then you upload your own MP3 sound. Let's click on close. Then this is also pretty straightforward. This is the sound volume of the alert. This is to change the duration, how long it stays on the screen. But then the alert text delay, this is pretty important, because if you're using an animated alert, for example from the sponsor of this video, the alert will have an intro animation before it's completely on the screen. So the text needs to have a small delay. For example, 1 second or 2 seconds here. Let's see how this looks. Let's click on test follow. It appears here, and then after 2 seconds the text will appear. Now for our alert that's not necessary, but 1 second can be pretty cool, because then the alert just enters the screen and then the name appears. That's pretty nice. I'm gonna leave it like this. Okay, then the next thing we see here, enable custom HTML CSS. I'm gonna keep this disabled. That's not for this tutorial. The next thing is really interesting. It's the font settings. Here you can change the font of your alert, and these are all Google fonts. So if you go to Google and you search Google fonts, you can click here and you can type something here. For example, you can type the video nerd just followed, and then you will see how it will look on your stream. If you say, hey, this font looks pretty nice, it's Fira Sans, you just go back, you look for Fira Sans, and there we go. When we click save settings again, and we trigger the follower, this will be the new font. Now the font size, that's pretty straightforward. It needs to be smaller to fit the alert, so I'm gonna make it something like 40 pixels. The weight, this is how thick your font will be, and I think something like 600 would be better for this, because the font was a bit too bold on this alert. And then there are 2 colors. I'm gonna show you what this is. So before showing you, I'm gonna type something else here. I'm gonna save this again, and then I'm gonna trigger the follower. So there are 2 colors here. There's the name of the person following or donating, etc. And then there's the extra text you type here in the message template. When you scroll down, you will see text color. This is the normal text, and then text highlight color. This is the color of the person that's following, donating, sharing, liking, etc. So when we go here to the message template, to make this clear, this text you can change with the text color option, and then this text is the text highlight. Now we're gonna delete all of this, and then when we scroll down, we only need to change the text highlight color. I'm gonna make this white and then click save settings, and then let's preview this because I think the alert is done. There we go, new follower, TVN tutorials, and then it will just disappear again after 8 seconds. Now the follow alert is the most basic one, because the other ones have some extra options. For example, the donation alert can trigger different things based on how much people are donating. Or you can also choose if you enable or disable text to speech and all those things. But before going over the extra options you have for the other alerts, there is one extra thing I need to show you here, and it's alert variations. Since you're watching this tutorial, you probably watch other streamers too, and there's a bunch of streamers that have different types of alerts triggering all the time. Different GIFs, different sound bites that are typical for the community, but all those different GIFs and different sounds are triggering randomly, and they are doing that with these alert variations. There are 2 options. The first one is adding a variation with default settings, and the second one is adding a variation with current settings. So these are the current settings. We changed the layout, we changed the text, we changed the alert. So if you want to make a slight variation of this alert with a different sound linked to it, or everything the same but just another alert graphic in a different color, something like that, then you want to click on add a variation with current settings. So then you will get a pop-up, and these are just the same settings as we used for the alert we just set up. However, something you could change is the alert animation. Instead of sliding down, you can say slide in right, and then instead of slide out up, you can say slide out right. Now, besides changing this here, you want to go to the top here because that's the most important thing about these alert variations. So for the follower alert, the only thing you can change as condition is random. But for example, for the donation alert, I'm actually going to show you because it's pretty important. Let's go to the donations, go to alert variations, and then let's add one here. As you see, when you go to the top, as your condition for the donation alert, you have a bunch of different options. For example, donation amount is at least this amount. And then here you will be able to choose an amount, for example, 5. So then every time someone donates at least $5 to you, this alert will trigger. If it's less than $5, then the other alert will trigger. And this is just an example. I'm gonna cancel this. Let's go back to the follow here, scroll to the bottom, open alert variations again. And as you see, once you create a variation, it will appear like this. And then if you create more of them, it will become a list. Now on the right, you can click on edit here, scroll to the top. And then as we saw before, for the follow alert, the only thing we can choose is random. And then you can also change the frequency. So instead of selecting a certain dollar amount people need to donate in order for this to trigger, we can now say that this should trigger very rarely, but then also very frequently, or just as default, this will probably be 50-50. And this allows you to do very cool things. You can change this to very rarely, and your regular viewers will know this, and they will kind of look forward to this alert being triggered every time someone follows. So you do with this what you want. I'm gonna change it to as default now. Now I'm gonna click on save here, save settings, and don't freak out if the variation of this alert isn't triggering when you spam test follow here, because first I was confused too, but it seems like this test follow button only triggers the default alert. When you scroll to the bottom here, you see the variation, and when you click on test here, you see that it does actually work. It slides in from the side and then it will slide out back. And let's go to the next option, which is subscriptions. Now don't worry if this doesn't have the same name for your platform, etc. The kind of settings will probably be the same, and you basically have to read through this for your platform. For example, here we see show Prime subs enabled, disabled. That's pretty straightforward. People on Twitch can subscribe with Twitch Prime, but they just used Amazon Prime for this. They didn't really pay $5 out of pocket to the streamer, so for that reason some people disable this. Then the message template is the same. We also went through this, but here we see other settings, right? We have the variations, we went through this. We have the font settings, but we have resub message settings and then resub message text to speech. This is what I was talking about, text to speech. You can disable this, but you can also enable this, because when people resub on Twitch, they can add some text to this. If you enable this, then the text will be read on stream. And there are a bunch of alert types that have text to speech, but in general it's kind of the same. You just enable or disable it, then you choose the voice here. Then here you can change the spam security, and then this spam repetition block is extremely useful. If people spam a certain letter like something like that, you've probably heard it already. Then if you set this to 3, for example, then every word that contains more than 3 repetitive letters, that will be removed. Then here again the volume, this is pretty straightforward. This is the volume of the voice, and then you can also choose to include the message template in the TTS. Now what this is right here on top, the message template. This is the text that appears on your alert. Right now this will read as TVN tutorials just subscribed. So if you enable this, then the text to speech voice will say TVN tutorials just subscribed, and then it will read my message. Now that's pretty weird, and it's the reason that it's disabled by default. So let's close text to speech. The other option we had here was resub message settings. Just like I said with the resub message text to speech, when someone resubscribes on Twitch, they can add a message, but they can also add things like an emote or something like that. And right here in the resub message settings, you can choose if you want to show that message or not show it. And then here emotes, you can also disable allow Twitch emotes. If you want to reward people or incentivize people to resubscribe, then I advise you to turn this on, because this is a big reason why people do it. They can have an impact on your stream by resubscribing and adding a message, and then potentially triggering text to speech in your stream if text to speech for resubs is enabled for you. Then here you can change the font of the message, because let me click on save settings here. I'm gonna click test subscription. As you see, we have TVN tutorials just subscribed, and then under that you can see text. This is a test. This is gonna be the subscription message, so the message people add when they resubscribe to you. And right here in the settings, you can change the font of that, you can change the size of it, the weight, which is how bold it is, and then also the color of it. Let's click save again. And then the next thing is the donations. Now a lot of things are gonna be be the same here, so I'm gonna skim over this and then we're gonna continue. So enabling, disabling, choosing the layout, we went over this. Again here, text to speech settings, and then here, this is what I was talking about before, minimum amount donated to read. So if you make this 5, for example, then whenever someone donates $5 or more, the donation will be read on stream by the text to speech. If it's less than that, the alert will show up, but the donation won't be read. Again, you can change the voice here. We've been over this spam repetition block. You can change the volume, and then again, including the message template in the TTS. If you enable this, then here, the message template, this will be read before the donation text is being read. Now I'm gonna close the text to speech here, and we've got a minimum amount. Again, this is the minimum amount to trigger the alert itself. So you can make this $3 and then the text to speech minimum amount $5. So then when someone donates $2, nothing shows up on stream. If they donate $3, then the alert shows up, but the text to speech isn't being read. And if they donate $5 or more, then the alert will be shown, plus the text to speech will trigger and the message will be read. And then one extra thing, minimum amount for recent events. If you add a recent event widget on your stream, then you can change the minimum amount for it to trigger in that one. Then the message template, this has 2 variables right now compared to 1 before. So name, this will be TV and tutorials, and then this will be the amount being donated. So if you change the image to the one we used before, I'm just gonna use this one, new follower, and then you change the layout to this, the text on top of the image. You could change this, for example, to name and then colon and then just amount, because donation will already be on the graphic, so you don't need to add it in the text. So then when you trigger it, test donation, and then the text will say the name, the amount. You can change the color of the column here by going to font settings here, and then text color, you can change the white or you can change the green to white and then save it. Now what's next? Text animation, we've been over this. Oh, this is something new, enable clipping on donations. If you enable this and someone donates over $500, then the reaction of you or the stream itself will get clipped and you will find it on Streamlabs. They moved it. It used to be here in the settings. I'm not gonna search for it. If this actually happens to you, you can search online how you can find the clip of that. HTML, we still disable it. Open donator message settings. This is the same as before. Minimum amount to show it, etc. We've been over the font settings, variations. That's everything. We've got hosts, bits, and rates. I'm gonna do host first. This is all the same. Viewer minimum is the same as the minimum amount donated. If you change this to 10, then only hosts of 10 people or more will actually show up in your alerts. Same thing for triggering it in the recent events. Message template, you know how this works. This is all pretty straightforward. Before touching on the bits, let's go to rates. I don't think anything is different here. The last thing is the bits. The reason I said I would touch on the bits later is that for the bits you can use specific images and then add alert variations here to make different amounts of bits trigger different bit packages. On the top you could say condition instead of randomly, bits used at least this amount. And then for example, when someone gives at least 100 bits, then I would change the image, for example, to, let's say purple is the normal image, and then change it to red when someone donates 100 bits or more. So then you could save that. This way you will have a few different bit alerts specific to how many bits people are giving, and this can incentivize people to give more bits to trigger a different color package. Now we need to get our alerts into OBS Studio. We see the widget URL here. It's blurred because it's sensitive information, but you can just click on copy, which will copy the URL, and then you can go to OBS Studio. By the way, I'm gonna show you a really cool trick to trigger different alerts, but first of all, the basic setup is adding a source, browser source, calling this alerts, clicking on OK, and then replacing this URL with the URL you just copied. Then you just click on OK, and then right here will be where your alerts show up. So when I go to the Streamlabs website again, I'm gonna click test follow, go back to OBS, and there we go, our follow shows up here. You can now rescale this and then just reposition it. But as you saw, when it left the screen, it kind of went up and then it looked kind of weird. So you want to position it like this if you set up the alert to enter the screen from one side, because then when you trigger it, I'm gonna click test follow, then it will enter the screen like this, and it will also leave the screen, and because it's connected to the end, it looks very nice. So let's see, there we go. Now one extra thing you can do, so here where we copied the URL, you can click on filter events and then for example disable follows. Then you copy this this, let's say we paste it here, click on OK, then everything will trigger except for the followers. If everything works, when I click test follow, the follower doesn't trigger, but when I click test subscription, then that actually triggers. But what you can do then is you can go back to Streamlabs. Let's make this a bit bigger. And now you can disable everything, but enable the follower alert like this. Then copy this, go to OBS, add a new browser source, call it follow alert, and then paste the URL there. And then, for example, make this bigger and reposition it, because that way you can make different alerts trigger on different positions. So when I click test subscription, it's going to appear here, but when I click test follow, now there's a big one going to appear here. Now, if you need to know anything else about OBS Studio, all my tutorials are together in this playlist. You will find tutorials there that make your microphone sound much better. Install my whole free graphics pack. Please like this video if it helped you, because it helps a lot in the YouTube algorithm. Subscribe to the channel for more content like this, and I will see you in the next video.